What an amazing way to come into the room. Thank you guys so much. Let's give a huge hand to Benedict and Armand. That is amazing to already be in the room with these great musicians. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming today. We're so glad to see you. Welcome to the Daily Antidote of Song. 2 days away. That is, well, 3 days if you count today, from our 365th day of singing together in this room. Holy cow is what I have to say about that. And then, of course, the next day would be our official first birthday as we start year 2. Please join us for some lots and lots of fun that we have coming up over the next few days. And I want to say hello to everybody out there on Facebook Live. Welcome to the Daily Antidote. And hello to everybody in this room. So, of course, to Benedict and Armand, to Aaron, who's running the tech, to Julia, who's running the tech, to Jim Harkless. Hello, glad you're with us today. Nice to see you. Coming in from Maryland, and Sarah in Texas, Arlene in California, Deborah in Kentucky, Carolyn in Idaho. Hello, Trish. Hello, Al with his guitar again. Nice to see you. Hello, Kate in Charlottesville, Jamie in Victoria, Luda in British Columbia. Hello, Becky in Vancouver. Hello, Caroline in DC. Hello, Norris. Nice to see you today. Dennis, also from British Columbia. Nice to see you today. Also from the Ubuntu Choirs Network, who are doing a partnership week with us in maybe just another week or so. Hello, Annette in California, Kevin in New Hampshire, Bonnie in Idaho, David in New York, Jim in New York, Lisa in Indiana, Dan in Virginia. Let me see who else is here today. Pete and Janet in Toronto. Hello and hello. We're so excited to see both of you today. Hindi also in Toronto. Great to see you today. Nancy's Irish Cow in Washington State. Hello, Jean in Pittsburgh, Kathy in Virginia, Lynn with her puppy in Connecticut. Hello, Fred in Maryland, Martha in Oregon. Tom, hello, nice to see you coming in from the DC area. And another Tom in Victoria. Hello, good to see you. Hello, Anne in Maryland, Susan in Seattle. Hello, Kirsten coming in from Mass, and all the folks in the room who are off video, Barbara and Catherine and Isabel, and Jeffrey and Valerie and Gwen and Cricket, and other folks still popping in the room. We're so glad that you are all here to sing with us today. Everybody take one nice deep breath, which is really only ever because I need the deep breath, but maybe hopefully you all could use the deep breath at the same time. I'm so happy to see you all. Welcome to April 3rd. Welcome to almost spring. I hope the weather is beautiful where you are, whether it is morning, afternoon, or evening. We are wishing all of you a beautiful, beautiful weekend. And a couple of quick announcements. My email is in the chat if you have questions or comments. A note that the link to the virtual room will be changing on April 6th. So please keep your eye out for communications from me about that link. If you're watching us on Facebook Live, please know that we're going to have a new link for the virtual room. If you would like it, you can email me. My email is in the comment section. All right. So today we are singing with two fabulous musicians who we got to sing with one other time in our first year. So I'm super delighted that we got to bring them back before we hit year 2. Benedict Gagliardi and Armand Araman are coming in from Mass? No, Providence.
How dare you?
Providence,
Rhode Island.
I knew that. Coming in from Providence, Rhode Island. And they are musicians, unbelievable scholars, everything amazing. And the song that they've picked for today is A Story Unto Itself. So I am going to turn the floor over to them so that we get a chance to sing along with them. Let's all give them a big welcome.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
How's it going? So nice to see you all again. So welcome back. Today, we're going to do a song in Tagalog. And because I am... like this space, I am usually one of the very few people of color. And so I thought today would be a great day to share a bit of my culture. So my family's from the Philippines. I was born in Providence, Rhode Island. And this is a great way to share a part of my culture by way of Gene Ritchie, obviously. And so here's how this works.
With the melodic medium
yes.
of Gene Ritchie.
If anybody knows Aubrey Atwater, she's a great dulcimer player based in Warren, Rhode Island. And she has a student, a dulcimer student in Manila, Philippines, who I think he wakes up at 6 a.m. to have his 7 a.m. lesson, which is a better time for Aubrey here. And he's obsessed with Gene Ritchie, and he has done some translations of Gene Ritchie songs. But this one, he took the melody from Gene Ritchie's song, One I Love, and he put his own set of lyrics. And in short, it's basically a love song. And it's got a chorus, so everyone's going to learn to sing along. So the chorus, which I'll just copy and paste in the chat really quick. Right there. I'll sing it once, and then I'll break it down for y'all. So... Ay ligaya ang iyong alay, sining ng aking buhay. So the good thing about Tagalog is that all the letters are pronounced. There's no hidden features for the most part. So I'm gonna say the phrase, you're gonna repeat after me.
I will play the part of you.
Yes, exactly. So, ay ligaya. Ay ligaya. Ang iyong alay. Ang iyong alay. Sining, not singing, but sining. Sining, like being very seen, but you're sining. Ng aking buhay. Ng aking buhay. So, now longer phrases. Ay ligaya ang iyong alay. Ay ligaya ang iyong alay. Sining ng aking buhay. Sining ng
aking buhay.
That's right. Yes, the learners got it right. I got it incorrect. So the translation, rough translation is, oh, your happiness, your brightness is a gift, art of my life. So very lovey-dovey love song. And
probably like me, for someone who doesn't speak this language, I always have so much fun saying a word that doesn't have any vowels in it. Nung.
Yeah.
I think that's just so much fun.
So let's try singing the chorus a bunch of times, and then we'll launch into the song. Ay ligaya ang iyong alay, sining ng aking buhay. O ay ligaya ang iyong alay, sining ng aking buhay. You'll get so many chances. Here's the instrumental. Hanggang bahaghari may kulay, hanggang may araw ang umaga. Sa aking mata, ikaw ang obra maestra. Ay ligaya ang iyong alay, sining ng aking buhay. O ay ligaya ang iyong alay, sining ng aking buhay. O binibini, isusulat ka sa bawat ulap sa langit. Sa tulak at kwento, ikaw ang musa. Ikaw ang reyna ng metapora. O ay ligaya ang iyong alay, sining ng aking buhay. O ay ligaya ang iyong alay, sining ng aking buhay. Binibini, aawitan kita hanggang may tinig pang taglay. Sasaliw ng iyong ganda, iinda kang melodya at letra. O ay ligaya ang iyong alay, sining ng aking buhay. O ay ligaya ang iyong alay, sining ng aking buhay. Two more chances, here we go. Ay ligaya ang iyong alay, sining ng aking buhay. O ay ligaya ang iyong alay, sining ng aking buhay. Binibini. And I forgot to mention that Binibini is the Tagalog word for miss, like Mrs. Miss. And also, other fun fact is that the author of the lyrics, Oni Carcamo, happens to be the #1 ventriloquist in the Philippines. So there you go. And
Quite an interesting person.
yeah, does stand-up comedy. And also, if anyone is unfamiliar with the term Tagalog, that is the lingua franca, or the main, most commonly spoken tongue in the Philippines. But it is only one of about 87 languages in the Philippines. Languages, dialects, but mostly languages. And so this is the chosen one.
Oh, the magic of an island nation.
Yeah, you may also, if anyone is familiar with Spanish or speaks a Romantic language, you may have noticed there are some words that sound vaguely familiar, and that's because of colonization.
Wow. Dang. Yeah. Okay. So that song was ridiculously beautiful. And we were talking ahead of time about all the ways in which different cultures intersect. And so in some completely bizarre way that I'm sure I could never even begin to explain, that song was doing for me the same thing when we have Chinobe in this room playing his either, the thumb piano or it's just the same thing happens, that sort of lulling and that sort of like notion that you're rocking in some really safe Zen space. So thank you so much for bringing that. We sing a lot of different things in this room, and sometimes that notion that we can just sing to soothe or just sing for the sake of inner peace is so important and beautiful. And yeah, you nailed it. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. And this is all working out on my end because learning Tagalog was my pandemic project. So I've been almost learning it for about a year straight, which is really great and successful. And the hope is that we can bring this back to our pub sings that we lead here in Providence, where I can trick everybody into learning and singing in Tagalog.
That's great.
Yeah.
So I definitely have said this on other occasions, but I hope there's room in your pub sing for 67 of the rest of us to all show up.
You're always welcome. It's a big space.
Yeah, we'll try to live stream it as well.
Great. And how's your guest bedroom? Can you handle all of us?
Well,
you can put up with a dog, maybe.
Yeah.
That's great. So yeah, there's lots to talk about in what we've just experienced with you. And I wanted to start by also tying this into something previously we just sang also in April with Kevin Locke, who is from the Lakota Nation. And he was also talking about all of the native languages and how distinct they are from each other. And we were learning with him some levels of signing that have become a way that different natives that speak languages that totally don't intersect are able to communicate with each other. So I'm wondering if there's anything like that at all in the Philippines, or is it really just that there's a central language plus all the offshoots?
The one that brings everyone together is English, unfortunately. To the point where like Tagalog is the national language of the Philippines, but really everyone speaks Taglish. So, to the point where you conjugate verbs using English words. So, for example, magsapilyo is the verb for to brush your teeth. But a lot of people now will say magtoothbrush. And so if you want to conjugate that, then you go, oh, okay, so magtoothbrush is to brush your teeth. Nug toothbrush is I brushed my teeth. I am brushing my teeth is nug the toothbrush. And I will brush my teeth is mug the toothbrush. So it is so confusing to have to think about two grammatical systems and making sure that they all agree with one another. And that's one of the easier.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing. So let's see, can we chat for a minute? I don't know if you want to start with Jean Ritchie or if you want to start with Oni. Can you tell us a little bit more about sort of your relationship with either one of them, or what you can share with us about this song or their history or their music?
Maybe I could just really quickly say something about Jean Ritchie, which is the conduit for so many other conversations here. But Jean Ritchie, she is a singer, songwriter, dulcimer player, activist, environmentalist, amazing person. If you don't know of her, well worth looking into. She's an important figure in the American folk revival, along with Pete Seeger and folks like that. And our friends Aubrey Atwater and Elwood Donnelly, who live in Warren, Rhode Island, they go way back with Jean and her family. They have done a lot of stuff down in Kentucky and down in the what's it called,
the John C.
Campbell School, and they knew Jean and they learned a lot straight from her. So they both play dulcimer. Aubrey teaches a lot globally now.
Yeah.
And so her songs are just the traditional songs that she did on dulcimer are just great songs, and her dulcimer playing kind of sparked interest in that instrument in our country and beyond. So she's an important figure for many reasons. But
yeah, and I think the song that Oni used, is that one that Jean Ritchie wrote?
I think so.
Yeah, the one that's like, if it sounds familiar to you, even though you've never heard the song before, it's because it's vaguely like Scarborough Fair.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. That's
So,
incredible.
yeah.
All right, wait, can you hold the book up again, and can you actually also tell us the title?
It's called The Singing Family of the Cumberlands. It's a book that Jean wrote. And it's funny just to show how intertwined Jean Ritchie and Aubrey and Elwood are in Rhode Island. I picked this up at a bookstore, a local bookstore, and I opened it up, and there's actually a writing from Aubrey and Elwood to someone who must have, had to sell off the book for some reason.
Okay, that's really funny.
Yeah.
It is truly a Rhode Island moment.
It's a small
Things
place
like
around
this
here.
happen all the time.
Yeah.
That's great. So can you chat a little bit more about Oni? So you said ventriloquist and stand-up comedian.
That's
else?
what, according to Google anyway.
What does he not do?
What does he not do? Well, I only found out about him because of Aubrey, and Aubrey knew that I was, really diving deep into Tagalog and also Philippine folk music as well. And actually, so if anyone heard us playing the instrumental in the beginning, that was a traditional Philippine folk tune called Pantomina, which sounds Spanish because of colonization, but it's a traditional wedding tune. Yeah. But yeah, so basically Aubrey just told me that Oni is this person that exists and that I should get in contact with him, and he did a translation of Pretty Sarah from the singing of Jean Ritchie, and so I immediately had to learn that one. So
And
that's a different song.
I just noticed really quick, Kevin in the chat asked what a dulcimer is. You can kind of see what Jean is holding there on her lap, but it's a stringed instrument that sits on your lap, and you kind of sort of like guitar like this, but you play it with either a feather or a little piece of wood that you kind of use as a plectrum and slide your fingers up and down like this. So it's a somehow simple, familiar instrument, and yet it wasn't there at one point, and now in the folk world, a lot of people play them. They're wonderful, wonderful instruments.
They're amazing. I actually bought one, and I made the mistake of buying one where you have to the tuning pegs aren't automatic. You have to get it to the right thing and then jam the tuning peg in. And I spent 2 weeks trying to figure out how to jam the tuning peg in, and then took it back and got one where the tuning pegs are automatic. But they're so not easy to learn to play, but you can do some simple things like ukulele, where if you just learn a few simple things, you have something you can sing along with and harmonize to, and they're incredible.
Oh. Yeah.
Isn't there also a distinction between the mountain dulcimer that Gene Ritchie is playing and then also the hammered dulcimer? And are you guys familiar also with the hammered dulcimer? And can you chat for a second about that, or should you want me to
Yeah,
do that?
we're fortunate enough that Norris Friedman in her little square there has a dulcimer, a mountain dulcimer to show. Thanks, Norris.
Thank you, Norris.
uh,
That's great. And thank you for doing that. Does anybody happen to have a hammered dulcimer they want to hold up? I'm just kidding. All right. So we've actually had mountain dulcimer in the room before, but we haven't yet managed to have a hammered dulcimer in the room. You just made me realize that. So probably not going to be able to pull that off before the end of year one, but we'll manage to get that in year two. Before we chat with you guys a little bit more about, sort of what you're doing and what's coming up for you and what you've been doing in the pandemic, can we chat just for a little bit on the non-Zen side of things about sort of what is going on in our culture now with regards to Asian Americans and the notion of being Asian American in the US and the ways in which it ties over to other movements that are going on, but maybe it hasn't, not enough attention has gone towards it. Can you tell us a little bit about your own personal experience or how you're feeling?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So for the most part, like day to day, it's kind of up and down. On the sunnier days, sometimes it helps me get back up, and then I'll look at Instagram and then feel bad about myself, or well, feel bad about everything really. Yeah. So I'm Filipino American, grew up in Province, Rhode Island, and I've definitely had like a lot of people of color, or like a lot of non-white straight men, have experienced some sort of discrimination. Definitely when I was a kid and in high school, the usual racial slurs and everything like that. Nothing like, I would say, horribly traumatizing, but I don't know. Maybe if I think about that more, maybe some old memories will resurface. But it's definitely tough and trying. But especially, like I said before, as a person of color who mostly exists in communities that are mostly white, it can feel just kind of like othering, I guess. Like I think maybe the first time I felt like I was more cognizant of my race was in 2016 during the election, and I was like, oh right, things are a little different. Yeah, like because for me, I was one of the few people of color growing up, so it kind of felt like I grew up white, except when I'd invite my friends over, and it definitely felt very Filipino. Lots of food was foisted upon all my friends.
Sounds like there might be an overlap between Filipino and Italian.
Very much so.
We have definitely been thinking a lot about these issues in this room. And I say this, but for anyone who's new, we started this in response to the pandemic, mental health issues, getting a chance to sing, we miss singing. And then George Floyd was murdered. And it very rapidly became a room in which we've been singing, thinking, talking, and acting on social and racial justice. And there's so much more to learn. And one of the things that has been maybe an interesting sort of struggle is, most of the non-whites who come into this room are the artists, and the audience has really remained mostly white. And it has served us in becoming a place where we can talk openly. So anti-racist work in this room has been a huge piece of what we've done. But it is also such an important thing to constantly reinforce the fact that being a welcoming or open community is maybe not as enough, and that maybe being an engaging and active community in finding a way to share space is the really important thing. And I'm hoping that in year two, we can find lots of ways to more actively be a diverse community. And thanks so much for sharing that. I appreciate that you're willing to open up about stuff like that in here.
Yeah, and actually, sorry, before you continue, at the beginning of the chat, before people started going in, I shared that GoFundMe. If someone wants to find that and repaste it at the bottom, there's because if you try to Google what can I do, AAPI, discrimination, donate to where, and so many organizations pop up, which is great. But this one I found to be pretty good because it's kind of like a general community fund, and so through that organization, they give out grants to vetted organizations. So that's a pretty good one. They're like at $5 million right now for donations. So they've just reached their goal, which is really exciting. So feel free, please donate. And not only that, but also, when it comes to the macro and the micro racist things that we all kind of have in us, even me, like, anti-Asian sort of sentiment, whether that's just something as tiny as stereotyping, like, oh, Chinese food, blah blah blah, like kung fu films, like things like that. It's really worth it to really check in on yourself, as well as calling out other people as well for things like this.
Yeah. Just
because there are so many things that we took for granted when we were younger, just growing up, and things are just, oh yeah, of course it's just a joke, but those like micro aggressions and thoughts can really have an effect.
And I could say from my point of view, it's really important to once you realize, like, oh, that's a microaggression. Oh my God, I grew up with that. That's part of my background. Like, I have to think about how that affects the way that I think and the way that I act, and really taking that as encouragement to not only stop yourself or better educate that realm of your understanding, but also to sort of get in the way of racism when you see it. Not just not react to an off-color joke or something, but like get in the way and say, like, no, that's not. Even the littlest steps are important.
Yeah, and even things that don't seem obvious, and this is all thanks to Instagram. Instagram's an amazing place. Can be amazing, can be horribly toxic. But I recently found out that so when it comes to makeup, like the fox eye, the little dash there at the end, is also has like racist roots.
Huh.
Yeah, because it's with Asian women, like with the eyes, it's generally seen as, or can be seen as, like, oh no, that's oh God, now I'm just like rambling here. The like facial features, physical features, people discriminate towards that. But when non-Asian people started using the fox eye, suddenly that's like, oh, ooh, this is very cool and hip and trendy and attractive. But it's just an emulation of that, like the Asian almond eyes. So,
wow.
Yeah, something to look into.
That's amazing. So Benedict was just talking about from your sort of white experience, and a lot of the anti-racist work we do is from our white experience. But Armand, you just brought up sort of even from your Asian American experience and your own biases that you carry. And I'm not sure if either one of you or folks in the room have read the Ibram Kendi, How to Be an Anti-Racist. The opening pages of the book, he describes a speech that he gave as a high school student, like in a debate context, in which he himself was leaning on all the racial stereotypes that he had been raised of his own culture, as a way of sort of distinguishing himself from, and it was so amazing, just like an incredible journey into thinking again the ways in which it can be something that you come to own in a way you view yourself, and your peers and so yeah, totally fascinating. I will actually try and get that little passage to you because I think you'll really enjoy it.
Yeah, I would love to read that.
So thank you so much for an amazing in-depth conversation. I hate to move on from it, but I would love for a minute if you guys could tell us a little bit about sort of what you've got coming up musically, any other work you're doing outside of the musical work. I don't even know if did I say Box Hunters when I introduced you? Box Hunters.
Now, we are the Box Hunters. We have a duo. Yeah, so I'm gonna do this while I'm looking at my calendar. So we are a duo. We are the Vox Hunters, Vox with a V, because we research songs and among many other things, and play 1,000 instruments. And what else? I'm sorry, my brain is just like.
Did you
You
make
can
any?
go first.
Okay, I was going to interrupt, but as for things that are coming up for us, I mean, we're along with all of you, cautiously going to approach gathering again. We are fortunate to have been immunized already. We have a couple sort of local gigs, outdoor gigs this summer. We're still doing things online. What's the next online
The
thing?
next online thing, if anyone is a instrumentalist, Fiddle Hell is a thing that happens in Westfield, Massachusetts, but obviously happening online. And that's happening from April 15th through the 18th. And it is not just fiddles, but all stringed instruments, guitars, mandolins, ukuleles, tin whistles, concertinas. We need to make that happen.
Yeah.
More concertina representation, and probably songs as well. And on a
And then we'll be doing a concert at the New England Folk Festival, NEFA.
yeah, and also Earful Fiddle, which is an organization based in Michigan, run by Nick Garris, who is a percussive dancer, among many other things. We're doing a concert on April 24th through them. It's like kind of a day-long festival.
We also have a local gig with our friends Aubrey Atwater and Elwood Donnelly,
Yes.
which will be primarily doing songs and music from Bristol, Rhode Island, as much as we have found in our research over the past couple of years.
That is June 4th. It's a million miles away. So,
Wow. Got that's amazing. Thank you, gang. So actually, I forgot that I figured out that we have a couple of overlaps because I think you guys affiliated with, well, I know you are in some way, Pinewoods camp, because so I'm on the board of Pinewoods, and I figured it out because I was listening to your incredible, I love it, Have You Got a Girlfriend Yet song. And Aaron, if you can find that on YouTube and stick that in the chat. But I'm like listening away, and all of a sudden I heard the dinner bell in the background, and I was like, "Wait, what? It's you left behind." I didn't even know. Yeah, I thought that was completely amazing. So that is such a great song, and brings us all into a whole other element of gender, and the ways in which that is yet another place where the injustices in our nation are rampant.
yes, and also toxic Filipino culture. And you learn some Tagalog along the way.
That you guys bring so much to this room, and I absolutely cannot wait to have you guys come back again, and maybe bring us a Bristol song, or who knows what, or another Filipino song, or both. So it's Saturday, and as much as I hate to move us out of this room, I know Saturday is a day where people actually sometimes get things done. So
what do you mean?
Yeah, I know. Would you guys feel good about giving us as much of that song as you're willing to do again?
Absolutely.
Yeah. We'll not do the instrumentals, and we'll just go straight through.
But would it be helpful to people if we went through a couple choruses to start with?
Yeah. We'll kind of like rev it up with the chorus. All right. Here we go. If someone could post the chorus again, thank you. So Ay Ligaya. Here we go.
Oh wait, I have one tiny little announcement. You'll see that this is accompanied on not traditional Filipino instruments. This is a tenor guitar, and this technically, I guess you could consider this a Filipino instrument in that this 5-string violin was built by a Filipino luthier sitting right here. So
behold, Filipino violins exist. So a 5-string violin that I made, and you heard what it sounds like. This one's not for sale because this is my business card. But you can have one just like this. All right, so here's that chorus. And the chorus is in the chat. Here we go. Ay ligaya ang iyong alay, sining ng aking buhay. Oh, ay ligaya ang iyong alay, sining ng aking buhay. kang hanggang bahaghari may kulay, hanggang may araw ang umaga. Sa aking mata, ikaw ang obra maestra. Oh, ay ligaya ang iyong alay, sining ng aking buhay. Oh, ay ligaya ang iyong alay, sining ng aking buhay. Oh, binibini, susulat ka sa bawat ulap sa langit. Sa tulak at kwento, ikaw ang musa, ikaw ang reyna ng metapora. Oh, ay ligaya ang iyong alay, sining ng aking buhay. Oh, ay ligaya ang iyong alay, sining ng aking buhay. Oh, binibini, aawitan kita hanggang may tinig pang taglay. Sasaliw ng iyong ganda, iindak ang melodya at letra. Oh, ay ligaya ang iyong alay, sining ng aking buhay. Oh, ay ligaya ang iyong alay, sining ng aking buhay. Fiddle bonus. Ay ligaya ang iyong alay, sining ng aking buhay. Oh, ay ligaya ang iyong alay, sining ng aking buhay. There it is.
Wow. Thank you so much, Armand and Benedict, the Vox Hunters. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having
Thanks
us.
for having us back.
As always.
Thank you for sharing your time with us and all that knowledge and all of that emotional content. And we really cannot wait to sing with you again. Let's all give them a big thank you. Also going to shout out Al, who was accompanying you on guitar, and Norris, who was accompanying you on the lap dulcimer.
Yay!
And,
Thank you, band. Thank you, band.
if I missed anybody else in the room who was also playing along, and Al, actually, I love. Al is still playing your song. You know, we're all now in Chatland, but he's still jamming away. So I want to thank everybody on Facebook Live for being with us today. Thank you so much, and we can't wait to sing with you again tomorrow. And I want to